The summer update in Solo Leveling Arise gave us 4 brand new artifact sets, and with upcoming hunters like Go-Gun-He and many others, they could be absolutely game-changing. But what is already actually game-changing is the outstanding ability accessory set, and the reason for this is it's practically made for the new character being Warmonger Mirei, as on the 2 set effects basically it says when the user has 70% or more of their mana points, their damage dealt is increased by 10%. But then with the 4 set effect you can increase that damage potential even more, as basically the damage dealt increase effect potency increases from 10% to 25%, and then the force effect also makes this effect now trigger when the user is at 40% or more of their maximum mana points, which means you can have that damage increase up for a much longer amount of time. And this set is mainly really good for characters who do like to use things like basic attacks and just not a lot of mana in general, and this set is absolutely perfect for any character in the game who does work around having a set amount of mana points, like Warmonger Mirei, who is kind of the only one that does it, but with it she can get a bunch of extra damage with her skills thanks to how much mana she has. But it's when you actually combine the rest of her kit and her passives and just stuff like that, the outstanding ability accessory set becomes an amazing set to increase your damage. And then also hunters like Sylph can also be really good, as a lot of his damage comes from his basic, core attacks, and also his bleed damage. As pretty much with Sylph all you gotta do is use your second basic skill to buff yourself up, and then use your first skill to apply that bleed damage over time, and then you can go into use your basic and also core attacks to where you get most of your actual raw damage from, which means he won't be using as much mana as perhaps some other hunters like Alicia Blanche, which once again would make the outstanding ability accessory set very good on him. And then finally, I feel like sub DPS characters like Libora will also be very good with this accessory set, as characters like Libora and also some others don't really tend to spend much time on the field actually dealing damage, which means they're not really going to be spending a ton of mana and will be able to generate it back naturally very quickly, which means you'll be able to very easily and consistently obtain that 25% damage increase. But then another set that I do find very interesting is going to be the Warmonger artifact set, as on the 2 set effect you can increase the user's attack and defense by 4%, but with the 4 set effect, basically whenever your attacks hit your target you can then further increase your attack and defense by 3%, which will last for 3 seconds and can stack up to 8 times, which means from the 4 set effect you can get a 24% attack and also defense increase, which will then total up to 28% once you do include the 2 set effect bonus. And as of right now, I think this set could be very good on characters like Lim Tae-yu, Choi Jong-in, Hwang Dong-soo, and then also characters like Park Byung-shik, as especially for someone like Choi Jong-in who can't deal critical hits, his only real main method of dealing damage is through increasing his attack stat and also ignoring your enemy's defense. And especially with things like his ultimate hunter buff, which increases his attack and defense penetration by 16%, as well as also the first part of his passive increasing his attack stat by another 40%, it means he can have an absolutely humongous attack stat, which means when you combine all of his passives and stuff like that with the Warmonger set, then you can increase his attack to crazy heights. The same also applies to Lim Tae-gyu, although it only mainly applies once you do have his exclusive weapon at a decently high amount of dupes, as pretty much with his exclusive weapon, after meeting certain conditions, he can increase his attack stat by 6% for 30 seconds, which can stack up to 8 times, which in total is a 48% attack increase, so combining that with the Warmonger set, you can get your attack stat way higher than you could before. The same also goes for Dong-soo, however Dong-soo is a defense scaler, which means he can also use this set a lot, as Dong-soo can apply the impulse and also the impulsive revenge buffs to himself, which do increase his defensive stats, as well as when he gets the madness buff, which he applies on his 3rd dupe as well, which will increase his defense and defense penetration, which once again when you do want to use Warmonger with him, it means you'll be able to stack even more defense, which will give you a pretty big damage bonus. And finally, the same also applies to Park Byung-shik, as he does also stack a ton of defense buffs, as thanks to his Father of 2 buff he can increase his defense by 4%, which can stack up to 10 times, which will last for 30 seconds, which means in total you can get up to a 40% defense increase, which will give you a pretty good amount of damage. And then also through his Father's Determination buff, he can also increase his own defense by 8% as well. So overall, the Warmonger artifact set is only really useful on characters that do like to stack their own attack and also defense stat. However, I do think because of the outstanding ability, feeling like it is practically made for a character like Warmonger Mirei, then I do feel like the Warmonger set and also all of the other sets that I'm going to mention in this video could be potentially made for the upcoming releases of other characters, which means maybe when we get someone like Go-Gun-He later this month, he could potentially be scaling off attack and defense. However, I'm just speculating. However, what is not speculation is the fact that on the 2 set effect of the Sylph's Blessings accessory set, whenever the user uses their QTE skills, support skills, or even ultimate skills, you can increase you and your whole team's elemental weakness damage by 5%, which in total can last for 30 seconds. But then the 4 set effect really does make it similar to Champion on the Field, as the 4 set effect allows you to increase your your skill duration to 60 seconds as opposed to what it was before, which was 30 seconds. And then you can increase the amount of elemental weakness damage stacks to 3 as opposed to 1, which means in total you can get a 15% increase in your elemental weakness damage. And characters like Min Byung-gu are going to be the perfect fit for this accessory set, as especially when you use the artifact set like the Destroyer set, which allows you to get your ultimate really quickly. It does mean when you bring in Min Byung-gu with your QTE skill, which also gives 50% ult charge, which is really good, it means you can use your QTE skill really quickly to get 1 stack, and then you can use your ultimate skill to get another stack, and then once you bring him in again, you can then get your final stack of elemental weakness damage, which will be very good, as right now a lot of people are running the Outstanding Connection sets, and this set only allows you to increase the attack stat of your allies. However, with the brand new Sylph set, as opposed to increasing your allies' attack stat, you just increase their damage in general, or their elemental weakness damage, which means he can then be run with defense and also HP scalers as opposed to only attack scalers. But of course the Burning Blessing set is a thing. However, if you don't have that, then the Sylph's Blessing will be very good. And then also Libora will also be fantastic for the Sylph's Blessing sets, as her first basic skill, which is called Strengthening Charm, can actually create an enhancement circle which will increase the dark elemental damage by 10% for team members standing with inside it, which means when you combine that 10% damage increase to dark damage alongside the 15% damage increase through elemental weakness damage, it does mean Libora is going to be able to buff dark DPSs like Kang Tae-shik, Lim Tae-gyu, and also Silvermane Baek-yuno by quite a lot. And then finally, other healers like Mei Lee Fisher, as well as also characters like Lee Joo-hee could also use this quite a lot as well. And then the final set we have is Angel in White, and if I were to summarize this one quickly, is that it's just a slightly better version of the Noble Sacrifice artifact set, as just like Noble Sacrifice, the Angel in White set on the 2 set effect will increase your own HP stat by 8%, which means overall instantly this will be very good for practically any HP scaler in the game, or for most of them anyways. But then the 4 set effect will increase the user's healing given by 8%, and will also increase the damage of the team member with the total highest power by 8%. And it is really the 4 set effect that does make it just slightly better than the Noble Sacrifice set. And once again, it does feel like an artifact set that might be potentially made for an upcoming character, which overall is going to be probably the main reason why this could be very game changing. But as of right now, characters this will be great on will literally be any HP supportive scaling character in the game. So Mei Lee Fisher, Min Byung-gu, and then also Lee Joo-hee will be the 3 main characters you want to use this on currently, as those are the 3 only characters that can really utilize the 4 set effects to its full potential, because obviously other HP scalers like Seo Jiwoo or Emma Lawrence can't really utilize the healing given bonus, which won't make it as useful as perhaps when you use a set like the Burning Greed set on them, which is why it's only somewhat useful on characters like Mei Lee Fisher, Min Byung-gu, and then also Lee Joo-hee. So there you have it. The 4 brand new artifact sets do seem pretty good, and definitely do feel like they are definitely made for current and also upcoming hunters that are going to arrive in the game, which is overall the reason why I think they definitely could be, and maybe already are, currently game changing. But overall, if you did enjoy this video or you found it just useful, then don't forget to like and subscribe, as it does help so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace!